Hey, it's Barça here, and today's video I'm going to be talking about Sergi Roberto and why people shouldn't write him off yet and why he can still be of big use to Xavi. And if you're like me and wanted him out of the club this summer, then especially for you, this will be interesting. So let's just get right to it. First of all, let's take a trip back to Luis Enrique's era as a Barça coach. Under him, Sergi Roberto was a versatile and hardworking player that contributed a lot to the team, especially after the departure of Dani Alves. Defensively, he wasn't that great, but offensively he could make overlapping runs, putting great crosses and drive forward with the ball on his feet. He was a very useful player to have, and without him, some iconic moments wouldn't have happened. In the years after Luis Enrique though, things would slowly start to change. Under Valverde he was decent most of the times, but he had lost his attacking spark and his energy after a while. Defensively, he committed errors more easily too, and generally he was just less sharp. Under Setien and Koeman nothing changed. He played without real energy, just going through the motions. In normal La Liga games you might get far enough with that only, but against the very best you won't. And consequently he got it difficult against the big teams and became one of the players to be blamed after humiliating defeats. But what's the actual reason for this decline? Well, it's the mentality. Under Luis Enrique, the general mentality was that whoever the opponent was, they were going to face Barça, and they had to fear them rather than the other way around. For players, this gives a lot of self-confidence, and nobody will just go through the motions. Under Valverde, the mentality changed. It was just to obey the game plan and take the 3 points home. And in big games, Barça got overwhelmed sometimes by teams with more drive. Because of that, what do you think happened to the self-confidence of the players? It went down, of course, and after years this just became a downward spiral. Nothing really changed under Setien or Koeman. Under Xavi though, things have slowly started to change. We've won some big games again, our squad has become better, and most importantly, the mentality that the players back under Luis Enrique had is back. And Sergi Roberto might be one of the players that need it most. He's been playing more freely and like his old self thus far this season. And the number one reason for that is the mentality change, I think. So people should realize that Sergi Roberto's drop in form was mostly a consequence of his lack of self-confidence. But now he seems to have it back, so I think we've got the 2016 version of him back basically, and he can definitely come in handy. So, mentality's one thing, but what can Sergi Roberto offer to the squad? In a team full of young players and players who are still adapting to Barça, and most players who got now belong to one of these two groups, it's important to have someone with experience. Sergi Roberto has basically been at this club for all of his life. He's experienced the very best moments as well as the very worst. He's perfect to learn from as a young player. And I know he's not the only one, but apart from Piqué and Busquets, there's nobody better to mentor the young players and to help foreign players adapt. So again, something that makes him useful to have. Next, I want you to think about our right back position. How much options do we really have there? Hector Bellerin is the only pure right back. Then we've got Araujo and Koundé who can play there, but it's not ideal. And then there's Sergi Roberto. And I think a lot of people wanted to see Roberto leave rather than Dest this summer, but Xavi was clear about that, so Roberto is basically our second right back right now. Imagine if Bellerin gets injured, then we'll need him, otherwise there are no real offensive right backs. But it's more than that. The difference in quality between Bellerin and Sergi Roberto isn't that big, so if they want to stay in the starting 11 they'll need to be at their very best, otherwise Xavi can put the other one in there. So Bellerin and Roberto can make each other better basically. And there's enough room for rotation too, so injuries are less likely. Only positives really, so again a reason to not write off Sergi Roberto yet. The most logical but actually overlooked reason he's still valuable is the fact that he perfectly knows Barcelona's playing style. He's brought up in La Masia and he's played under both Guardiola and Luis Enrique. He completely understands the football that Xavi wants to play. And many people don't realize how many players have got problems with understanding Barcelona's tactics and playing the way Xavi wants them to. If someone doesn't understand the tactics don't work. That's one of the reasons Serginho Dest wasn't in Xavi's plans anymore. So to have a player who knows the footballing philosophy inside out is certainly valuable. Lastly, Sergi Roberto is just a very versatile player. The most versatile in our squad probably. I feel like this has always been his major strong point. And if you were ever in favor of keeping him during the last couple of years, it was because of this. Firstly, he can play as a right back, which has become his main position throughout the years. Also just because Barça needed someone after Dani Alves left. But as a midfielder he can be great too. He's got good passing, for a midfielder his defending is great, and he can drive forward with the ball. Even as a right winger he can play well. In the Clásico in 2015 away at the Bernabeu where Barça won 4-0, he was great in that role. I don't think he will play there ever again though, since he's lost some of his pace. The thing with his versatility is that if someone gets injured, we will never have a lack of players because of options like Sergi Roberto who can play in different roles. So if you look at the total package, there's a decent amount of reasons that make him still valuable for Barcelona. And though he's had some difficult years, you see why we shouldn't really write him off too soon right now. That was it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and feel free to share your own opinion in the comments down below. Força Barça and have a good day.